What's up, future me? It's you from the past, here in this very beautiful piece of woodlands, preserved woodlands on top of a mountain just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. This is the Jefferson Memorial Forest campground. It's a pretty nice campground, minimal in terms of amenities. There's no showers, there's no bathrooms. Each of the campsites don't have running water, to be honest. But it's only $15 a night, and it's day 48 of our road trip since we departed Southern California, and this is also day one of us in our alternate minivan car camper. This is a Chrysler. I don't know anything about it except it's a Chrysler. My guess is it's Town and Country. I think that's what Chrysler's minivans are called. But we had to transition into this since the R1S is in the shop, and fortunately for us, a lot of our camping equipment was able to transition in pretty easily. There was a little bit of a learning curve as we had to learn and figure out how to properly fold down the middle row of seats. There's like this elaborate platform system where the platform underneath, let me see if I can get a view of that actually, but you can see our X-Pad Mega Mat Auto, and then our two-person Nemo sleeping bag fits in here pretty well. So at the very least, transitioning our sleeping arrangements into this minivan that we rented from Enterprise went pretty quickly yesterday. So yeah, you see this little platform. This platform, you had to figure out how to pull it up, and then the second row of seats, which are two captain chair type seats, fold down and stow into this under platform storage area. But we weren't able to get everything from our setup. Obviously, we don't have our rooftop box, which basically had our tents and our additional chairs and whatnot. But we do have our backpacks. We got several days worth of clothes, the bare essentials from our food storage, like our cooler, our oyster cooler, and then our pantry bag. So we got some of our stuff, and we were able to sleep reasonably well last night, given transition to an entirely different style of camping vehicle. We're probably not going to be going anywhere super far because I don't feel like driving more than an hour at a time in a vehicle like this. Like you can really feel just how different it is driving with an internal combustion engine car compared to an electric car, just in terms of acceleration, braking. We haven't had to drive very far yet. I think the most we've driven yesterday was maybe 15 miles or so to get from where we picked up the vehicle to the coffee shop that we spent most of the day at, doing stuff on our computers, and then up here to this little forest preserve, which is incredibly beautiful. But this is probably the only piece of non-developed, non-urbanized land for I don't even know how many miles, but we're just above Louisville. Today is going to be our day to hang out and explore in Louisville, as well as doing some chores. We got laundry to do. We got anytime fitness workout and all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to go out to a blues, either blues or bluegrass kind of evening of music, which we had originally planned to do before the critical battery issue in the Rivian R1S threw us for a loop. So at the very least, one big takeaway is that the problem with the Rivian R1S, that the shop, the Rivian Service Center and Parts Distribution Hub in Shepherdsville, Kentucky is just another town on the peripheral of Louisville. I think it's maybe 10 miles south, something like that, maybe more. So they're working on it. They had it up on the jacks yesterday. We brought it in yesterday at 8 a.m. And as of 5 p.m., which is when all the service technicians went home, they did not yet have an assessment for us. So my initial hope that it would be an easily solvable problem doesn't look like that's going to be the case. It looks like there's going to be some larger problem that they're going to have to figure out how to fix Fortunately, that parts distribution warehouse that they work in is massive. They distribute parts for all of the eastern seaboard apparently. So if there are major parts that are needed as part of the repair, they will already have them on hand, and they won't be waiting for parts to be shipped over from you know, Normal, Illinois, or wherever their parts suppliers are for the Rivian supply chain. But yeah, long story short, going back to Louisville, exploring Louisville, this problem with the Rivian R1S has not yet started to impede on our plans to go north, see the rest of the U.S. There is an event that I really, really wanted to go to tomorrow in Merrim, Indiana, which is about 3 hours away. It's a Pawpaw Festival. Highly unlikely that we're going to go to that now, you know, unless somehow the R1S is ready by end of day, which I'm kind of skeptical, but we'll see. If they can get this to us by Saturday, that would really be ideal. But for now, making things work in this minivan. Good amount of space in it. This campground is really beautiful. Amazing. I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's gorgeous. But we also do have to go into Louisville. It's about I think it's about 20-minute drive, 25-minute drive to get to Anytime Fitness in order to get to any of the like essential amenities. But yeah, we're probably gonna spend today, fair amount today, laundry, Anytime Fitness, some time at a coffee shop, and then we're gonna go to like a blues club downtown Louisville, have a little bit of a date night by end of day, probably around 6-7 p.m., something like that. But yeah, that's the update. That's how we're rolling with things, and hopefully future me, you'll know pretty soon when I become you what the problems were with the Rivian R1S, how Rivian fixed it, and that it's all covered under warranty. Should be covered under warranty. I mean, that vehicle is what, May? We got that like first or second week of May. Now it's September, so 4 months old, less than 10,000 miles on it. Yeah, that's not a good look for it to be having major problems like that, especially like critical battery problem. Get to service center immediately. That was the last flashing red sign in the car before it completely went on the fritz. And you know, just like right after we parked it in the parking lot for the service center, we walked in to check in with the service center. The service technicians then said that it had lost power to the point where they could not start it. It was locking and unlocking itself sporadically. The windows were dancing up and down. It was flashing the hazard lights sporadically, like it was going through some kind of struggle fest boot up phase. And they had to bring out a 12-volt jumper battery in order to stabilize the 12-volt system enough that they could unlock the doors again and actually get into the vehicle. And then they said that they had to get like some kind of special crane or no, it's like a special forklift or jack in order to get it into the actual service bay. So yeah, all that points to a problem far more severe than, like, I don't know, when I first saw it about like some kind of electrical hazard of water, I thought, maybe something didn't seal properly. There's like water getting into somewhere in the AC charging. Good morning. Getting into like the AC charging loop or whatever. But yeah, that all points to something that's far more critical. And maybe we just got a bad battery pack or something. Like there's a bad batch of batteries. But the mind can continue to run and speculate, because one thing I do know about these Gen 2 R1Ss or Gen 2 R1s, R1S, R1Ts, is that Rivian went through and heavily optimized their process for manufacturing both the R1S and the R1T, so that these Gen 2 models would be cheaper to assemble and they would be net margin profitable, right? So there is part of you that would worry, naturally, because there is a slider between cheap and good. It's like usually cheap and good are two things that are like opposing each other. So you can't help but potentially fear that what if in part of that like optimizing, lightweighting, cheapening process, something in the quality of materials for the charger, the battery pack, something in those electronics is not as good. And that's what we're running into. Because like when you normally think about the different ways that you can stress test an electric vehicle and its components, the most obvious ones that come up are constant DC fast charging, just back-to-back DC fast charging, jamming in there, driving like 500 miles a day, something like that, right? Which we were not doing. Like, we made it a very specific point to not spend more than 4 hours per day driving on any given day, just because once you get past that threshold, it becomes miserable. Like, your whole day gets warped by being in the car, warped around being in the car, and you're just driving the whole time. Look at this little clearing. This is amazing. It's beautiful. Wow. This park is amazing. Also, it is like, it's the first week of September and there are leaves already starting to fall. There's color starting to turn. Like, wow. I mean, I thought fall didn't start until the equinox, but I guess it's an early fall or something. But what do I know? I've never been to this part of the country. This is all new to me. Going back to the main topic. Yeah, we made it a very distinct point to not drive more than 4 hours on any given day, which, combined with the fact that we were AC charging, meaning level 2 charging almost all the time, we did at most supercharge twice in one day, or DC fast charge twice in one day. So we were not heavily relying on DC fast charging. In fact, we were more heavily relying on level 2 AC charging, because we had found that when you find level 2 chargers, even public level 2 chargers that are sometimes free, which is amazing, you could plug into them, put in your window covers, and no one will bother you. For the most part, if you are an electric vehicle plugged into a level 2 charger and you're there overnight, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody comes up. Nobody's gonna give you the knock or whatever and say, hey, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing sleeping in your car? No sleeping allowed in here. Because you're doing something that people are supposed to do. You're an electric vehicle plugged into an electric vehicle charger. That's not suspicious at all. So we started pretty much any given day at 60% or more, sometimes as high as 90% state of charge, off of slow level 2 trickle charging. And the vast majority of the 6,000 or so miles, maybe not the vast majority, but the majority of the 6,000 miles that we have driven thus far on this 48-day trip have been driven on range restored by level 2 AC charging. So that to me doesn't seem like a lot of stress on the battery, but one type of stress that we were doing in our use case that I feel like could be accumulating on the battery that is not super obvious is also not something I could imagine them not really testing, because I don't know, do you think anyone at Rivian ever tried to live in the Rivian R1S van lifestyle like we have been doing for the past 40 days? Which, what that translates to is the 12-volt system in the Rivian has to stay on 24/7, 48 days, because if your 12-volt system is not on, then your freezer, our freezer, which is in the sub-trunk, is not on, because that 12-volt freezer, or that freezer, is plugged into the 12-volt power system, into the 12-volt charger thing, right? And that's what keeps it powered to keep a rotation of ice packs frozen. And we rotate ice packs from that freezer to our Oyster cooler, which serves as our refrigerator, right? Basically like a 2-cooler type of system. So you could say that the car never fully went to sleep over the past 50 days, or the periods where it did go to sleep were very small and far between. And we just went through 5 days of that sleep process, which was while we were at DragonCon. because while we were at Dragon Con in Atlanta, we stayed at a hotel for 5 or 6 days. The R1S was parked in a commercial parking garage, and we turned all the systems off. We had finished all of our frozen food. There was nothing left in the freezer, so we let it completely power off, and everything that was in the freezer melted. All of the ice packs and all of that melted. And I can't help but wonder if there's some kind of like a coincidence that after that 5 days of rest, the first 5 days that the car had completely powered off, right, and gone to sleep, that the next time we charge it after that, this issue starts to come up. This issue shows itself. So that's one thing that I wonder about. The other thing I wonder about is that the night that we were charging at the Rivian Waypoint charger, and we had been charging there for like 9-ish hours, went to sleep in the back, woke up in the morning, and then this problem started to go off, like potential electrical hazard, that whole symbol of the Rivian being underwater, don't drive through any water. It rained that night. It rained that night while we were plugged into the Rivian Waypoint. So those are the two main things that are like on my mind, thinking about like if either of those could have had something to do with the problem that we're encountering, which, independent of those things potentially triggering the problem, there's the fact that those things should not trigger the problem. Like the vehicle should be able to handle charging while it's raining, just like the vehicle should be able to handle like its 12-volt system running to keep a freezer cold, because it's an adventure vehicle. Part of the advantage of driving around in an adventure vehicle that is also a giant battery pack. Look at these leaves falling behind me. Like, this is crazy. I mean, I have no idea if, because to save power on the Action 5, I don't keep the little preview window going. I let it black out so it just shows numbers. But I can't help but feel like that framing was cinematic right there. I can't wait to get up into the Great Lakes and Toronto as fall continues to go on, because if it looks like this in Kentucky first week of September, what is it going to look like in 2 weeks when we're in like Marquette or Painted Rocks Lakeshore? Man. All right. Hopefully the R1S is repaired, all the problems are fixed by then. Oh my God, that is the one like potential nightmare scenario that I worry about, because other Rivian YouTubers or Rivian tubers who are out there, I'm not sure if I would say that I'm specifically a Rivian tuber, because I like Rivian. I've enjoyed the R1S thus far, but my content creation is far more focused on my individual travels and traveling in EV rather than Rivian the brand itself. But there are Rivian tubers out there who have said that the greatest Achilles heel problem point for Rivian as a company is service. Their service takes a long time. It takes them a long time to repair things. It takes them a long time to get things out of shop. Yeah, you can imagine, we are on the other side of the country. I don't know, if you're to draw a straight line between Louisville and Southern California, what is it, 1,500 miles, 2,000 miles? I don't know. We're on the other side of the country, living out of a vehicle, and what are we supposed to do? I mean, the biggest downside, the biggest potential downside, if we were to be stuck in this minivan for, let's say, a week, is that we cannot continue with our trip because our vehicle is here, right? The R1S is here. So there's a week of going to Chicago, going to Green Bay, going to Milwaukee, exploring places in between that we miss out on. One of the things that's fortunate is that this is happening right now in what seems to be fall, right? Look around us. Look at those leaves right there, rather than summer, because what I can say is that if it was warmer and more humid, camping in that minivan would be atrocious. It would be an atrocity. It would be horrific. Last night was pretty manageable. Thankfully, there were not a ton of bugs out, so we were able to keep the windows down to get some natural ventilation. But the thing that makes EV car camping is the fact that the EV can can run its AC off of battery without running like a motor, without having to guzzle tons of gas. So sleeping in a temperature controlled battery on wheels makes camping when it's hot and humid in the summer much more feasible. Less of a concern when you have like fall weather like this. So yeah, I don't know. We'll find out pretty soon, future me. We'll find out pretty soon. Man, there are so many leaves falling. This is, like, again, new experience as a Californian. And you'll experience a lot more of this, future me, when I become you. Talk to you soon.